Black is up a pawn. It is white to move. He might trade rooks here. There's no real threat from black. Identify the targets, the king, the queen, anything undefended. This pawn and this pawn. Peace relationship. Obviously, our queen's in line with his king. I'm very tempted to play the double check. Looking at the royal squares, those are occupied. These are controlled. These will be controlled when I move my knight. And if I move my knight to e7, he must play either king to h6 or g7. So on king g7, my knight will take this pawn with check. On king h6, I'll push this pawn with check. I'm not calculating it to the complete end, I admit, but this is fairly warranted, so we can give check. Check. Of course, if he'd come up here, we would have gone back with the knight takes pawn check idea that we saw in the first sideline. Instead, again, royal squares occupied, controlled, controlled. These are all open, and these are all open. That's a lot of territory available to the king. Obviously, I can play the queen here. Let's imagine my queen is on, let's mark it in yellow. That's check, and that takes control of everything here, giving the king either of these. Well, actually, he can't move here because queen takes pawn is checkmate, defended by the knight. So he will go to h6, and I can take that pawn anyway. He comes here. This square becomes available. Do I have any other checks? I'd rather not allow the king. Actually, I'm okay if he comes this way because my knight takes. But can I keep him from coming here? One of these two checks feels like it does the job. But what is the difference between queen c1 and queen d2? Let's identify the continuation. On either of these moves, their king comes to one of these two. He's not going to go back and allow the checkmate. So he'll come either to g4 or h4. And we can play rook to e4 check. Okay. If he's on g4, he can come to f3 or h3. If he's on h4, he can only come to h3. Yeah, and that's the difference. With our queen here, we'd have to take an extra move if he goes to h3. With our queen here, we can come directly to f1. So it's queen c1, rook here, and there's your checkmate. Again, if you were here, you wouldn't be able to play that. Queens don't get to move like knights anymore ever since last week when FIDE made the new rule. Bada bang, bada boom, oh yeah.